Hi, everyone. Oh, loud. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Azalea, and I'm a user researcher here at Salesforce. If y'all have ever done any research sessions with us, it may have been me on the other end of the line.
And my name is Wayne Cho. I am a product manager on the Lightning customization team. Any of the customization features that you've used in Lightning, my team is responsible for building that, and today I will be demo boy as well.
So today, we will be sharing about using a user-centered approach to designing Lightning experiences on mobile. And then in addition to that, we're going to be showing you all a demo on how to actually put all these ideas into practice. So let's begin with the forward-looking statements agreement. Y'all might already be familiar with this. This is essentially a reminder to please make all of your purchasing decisions based on what is currently available in the product. Now, as a researcher, I get to have a ton of conversations with admins and developers like yourselves. And one question I consistently hear time and time again is that, how do I best design the mobile experience for my users? Where do I focus my energy? And today you learned about Lightning on mobile, and you learned about all the customization capabilities that come with Lightning on mobile. And this question becomes increasingly important. So that's where we come in. We are here to share with you all how to best design the mobile experience for your users by tailoring it to their needs. Now, where do we begin? Well, we begin with you begin by understanding your users. And now, as a researcher at Salesforce, it's my job to get user feedback, convert that into recommendations, and that improves the product. So in this section, I'm hoping to share with you all what I do to learn about the users that we have and how I go about making product recommendations. Well, so the first thing is, what should you be learning about your users? Now, from the research that we've done, we've seen that users' mobile needs are different from desktop needs. While users might want desktop and mobile needs to be complementary, they still want the mobile experience to be tailored to their mobile needs. So, to begin with, it's important to learn about and get a deep understanding about how they work. What activities do they do on their desktops? What activities they do on their mobile devices? What their goals are when they're going about their activities, when they're using their mobile devices, and what tasks they conduct on their phones. Then also make note of what delights them and frustrates them when they're using mobile. By getting this deep understanding, you will be able to see a common pattern in your users. You will be able to bucket users into different categories, and these will become your user types. When you think about your user types, you will be able to design a better experience for them. So you might wonder, what methods do I use in order to get this information? Well, you can use surveys, you can use interviews, and you might already be familiar with these methods. But you can also use other methods like task analysis. So task analysis is literally when you sit down with your user and you see them conduct a task from start to finish and see what challenges they face, what speed bumps they hit. And then another thing that we recommend you do is a contextual inquiry. Now, you might be wondering, what is the contextual inquiry? Well, it's just an observational interview. It's a mix of semi-structured interviews and observations. And here you observe your users in their normal environment as they work. And this is the best method to use when you're trying to learn about your users' mobile needs, because you will be able to see right there and then what challenges they're facing and what their tasks are and what their goals are when they're using their mobile devices. When you're doing this and observing them in their natural environment, listen, watch, and ask questions. This is absolutely essential in order to get the data that you need in order to design a best mobile experience for them. And then talk to multiple user types. The findings for one specific user is not going to translate to other user types. So remember when we talked about creating user types when you're collecting data? Well, get information about all those specific user types pertaining to what their actions and tasks and goals are. So Once you do this, you've collected all the data about what your users need. The next thing you need to do is choose a mobile layout path. And you can do that by using Lightning on Mobile capabilities. Now, you've seen Lightning on Mobile allows you to see a desktop view as a desktop page as a mobile page. It also allows you to make sure that some components are available on mobile and not on desktop by using component visibility. And you can also use component visibility to make sure that some components are available on desktop and not on mobile. So if you have a specific mobile page, you can customize that for the mobile view and the desktop view by using these two different capabilities. So using that and the data that you've collected, you have three different options for choosing your mobile layout path. You can either use an existing desktop layout. You can clone a desktop layout that is taking an existing desktop layout, cloning it, and then customizing it for your mobile experience. And last is creating a new mobile page from scratch. Well, you might be wondering now, when do I use which of these options? So you should be using an existing desktop layout when there are few changes required. So when you collect data about your users and you've seen for a specific user type, these are the things that they need to do when they're using their mobile devices. When you see the existing desktop page in the mobile view, you will see that, oh, it's kind of meeting their needs already. I don't need to make too many changes. I don't need to reorder too many components. I don't need to use too much component visibility. So that is when you use an existing desktop layout. Now, why would you do that? You would, by using an existing desktop layout, you minimize the learning curve for your users because they're already familiar with the desktop layout and the components on the desktop page. And by reusing that in mobile context, they don't have too much to relearn. And then you also reduce technical debt for yourself. So you're not managing a number of record pages. You're managing one record page, both for the desktop and mobile. However, when you've learned about your users and you see that the existing desktop page does not meet their mobile needs at all, there are a lot of changes that you need to make. A lot of component visibility needs to be used. A lot of reordering needs to be done. That is when you just clone the desktop layout and then organize and design your mobile page. This is the time that you use this option where you don't want the changes to impact your desktop layout. So when there's an existing desktop layout out there that your users are already using, and you don't want any changes to be made on that desktop layout, you should clone the desktop page and then start tailoring it to their mobile needs. Again, there will be a minimal learning curve because you're reusing the components on the desktop page in the mobile context, but making sure that it's tailored to their need. And last but not least, when you're understanding your users' needs, you might see that there are specific use cases that are mobile only. So for example, if your user's auditing or going about figuring out the inventory, this might be an activity that they do only on the go. So there might not be an existing desktop page layout that you already have. So you need a mobile-only application for this. So as a result, that's when you create a standalone mobile page. So now that you've chosen your layout, you want to now design your mobile page. As researchers, we've learned about what your users want. And there are three simple things. The first one is that they want to shorten the administrative days. They don't want to spend a lot of time on administrative tasks, entering data, and making sure that the data is clean. They want to be smartly assisted. That is, they want the right information at the right time in the right place. And last but not least, they want to manage Salesforce efficiently so that they can make more money. So this is what your users want. This is what your users don't want. They don't want to be scrolling to find the information they need. They don't want to be wading through a ton of irrelevant data. They don't want to be viewing components that are not suitable to the mobile device. So how do you design the mobile experience to reflect these needs? The first is use only relevant information. Do not use information that is irrelevant to that specific user type. Next, Prioritize the fields and components according to what they need. And last but not least, have components that are suitable to the mobile context. So let's get into it. What do I mean by using relevant information? So when you did your research, you've seen specific user types require specific information that is relevant only to them. So make sure that you reduce it to only that information. Don't make them wade through all that information, all like fields and fields of things that are not relevant to them. Next, use quick actions to show a subset of data. So for example, when your user's on the go and they want to create a new opportunity, when they hit new, they might find themselves with a whole lot of fields to fill out. That makes them less efficient, that's very time consuming, and it's not the best mobile experience for them. So make sure that you use quick actions to reduce the number of fields that you're showing them when you're creating, when they're creating a new record. Next, if there are more than 4 components, put the data in tabs, because that will improve the performance of your mobile page. However, if there is less than 4 components, then make sure that all the data, remove all the tabs and all the data is on one page, because then they don't have to go around clicking to get to the information that they need, and that makes them more efficient. And last but not least, assign it according to app, profile, and org. This allows you to make sure that only the relevant information is going to the specific user type. So then we talked about prioritizing information. How do you do this? You organize all the secondary information that that specific user type does not need into tabs. Put all the information first and above the fold, all the important information. So for example, when you're looking at your users using their mobile devices, you see that one of the things that they do consistently is try to go to the maps and try to map their way to where their opportunity is. Well, prioritize that. Put that front and center. You've seen that your users find that important. Make sure that you're prioritizing that on the page as well. Then don't nest 3 tab components or use an accordion component within a tab, because this will make your users have to drill in to get to the information that they need. Don't make them have to search for information if you can give it to them as soon as possible. And last but not least, use component visibility. This is a great new feature that Lightning on Mobile has introduced. And over here, you can prioritize the information by using component visibility and removing the things that are not relevant to the mobile use case and that are only relevant to the desktop use case. Last, choose the right components. Choose components that are suitable for the mobile context. Again, if like your users think that getting to a specific place is important, make sure that you're choosing that component for the desktop view. And if they don't think that charts and reports are something that they look at very frequently when they're on the go, then do not put that component in the mobile view, because that will just waste their time scrolling through that. They will just be wasting time scrolling through it. And then make sure that your components are responsive. So there are some standard components that are not responsive as yet, and putting non-responsive components in your mobile view will not be the best experience for your users. So make sure that the components are responsive to the mobile view. And last but not least, again, use component visibility to make sure that only the components that are relevant and right for the mobile context are on the mobile view. So you've done all this work. You've created a mobile page. The next bit is very, very important. Put this mobile experience in front of your users and get feedback from them, and then iterate on it. I guarantee you, the first design is never the best design. So getting feedback and iterating on it is super important to designing the best mobile experience. So to recap, get to know your users first, see what's important to them. Next, use the lessons that we've learned, and then tailor and iterate to make sure that it's the right experience for the right user, designed in the best way possible. So Wayne is now going to take us through a demo.
All right, so are you guys ready to see this in action? All right. So let me just quickly here. I know I got about 5 minutes left. So I'm going to kind of take you into the world of Electron today. And at Electron, we just rolled out the all-new Salesforce mobile app to our field account reps responsible for charging stations. So on the left here, you see an account record page for charging stations in the desktop view. And right next to it, you see that exact same account record page on the mobile app in the phone. So as you can see, our account reps see the exact same information on both the desktop view and the phone view. However, as we all know, this is not necessarily what our users want. And as Azalea just mentioned, users expect a more targeted set of information when they're trying to access the account information when they're on the road versus on the desktop. So let's quickly take a look at what we can do. So what we've heard feedback from the field that on the mobile app, we see this charging stations report, right? Really, it takes up a lot of space on the phone, and it's really not necessary for people out in the field, out on the go to see a report. What's important for them is to be able to find out where these charging stations are at and how to get to these charging stations easily. So what I want to do is, as the awesome admin, I'm going to make a couple of tweaks. This record page is fine. So I'm going to go ahead, update the existing page. So I'm going to click up Setup here, Edit Page. What this does is it opens up the Lightning App Builder, and now it launches Lightning App Builder so that as admins, I can easily customize this record page just by dragging and dropping components. So right off the bat, we talked about that charging stations report. Let's go ahead. We talked a lot about component visibility. Let's use that. So we're going to add a visibility rule to this. Only show this component when the user is viewing this record page on the desktop. So I'm going to go ahead, as you can see, it just clicks. So desktop only. So as you can see, I added a visibility rule, show this component desktop only. The other thing that our account reps was information on how to get to these charging stations. And I have just the right custom component that I created. It's called a get there component. And I'm going to just drag this up here. So the get there component basically takes the address of the charging stations and gives the account reps out in the field access to Google Maps directions, or they can easily call an Uber or a Lyft. So I'm going to go ahead. This component, I'm going to add a visibility rule as well. It really only makes sense when I'm accessing this record page on the phone. I go ahead. As you can see, clicks. And now, instead of desktop, only show me this component when I'm viewing this record page on the phone. So, looks good. And one enhancement that we made to App Builder is I have a phone design view as well. So I can see exactly how this record page appears on the phone. So what I'm going to do is, one thing as Azalea mentioned, prioritize the information. This information, how to get to these charging stations is very important. So I'm going to actually move that component to the top of this page so that our users see that information right off the bat on the phone. So I'm going to go ahead, click Save. Everything looks good. And I'm going to go back. As we can see on the record page on the desktop, pretty much exactly the same. I don't see that get there component, and that's because of the component visibility rule. And I still see that charging stations report. But what I'm going to do is on the phone here, I'm going to pull the refresh. And as you can see, voila, right at the top, that get there component, giving our field reps information on how to get to the accounts. And that charging stations report, it's not there, right? So as you can see, so let me just kind of close it out here. So as you can see, based on what Azalea kind of talked about, best practices with user research along with Lightning on mobile using the Lightning App Builder, admins can now have the ability to create really powerful, customized mobile experiences. For those of you, I'm going to close it out. Azalea, thank you very much. Myself, thank you for attending. If you want to learn more or talk to some UX researchers, please visit the UX team at Camp Design. We also have a trailhead. And last but not least, I also want to say that with the Summer 19 release, we will be enabling all developer edition orgs with the Lightning on Mobile pilot. So if you have access to a developer edition org, or if you don't, you can sign up for a free developer edition org. You can get a head start on building these mobile record pages just by enabling the Lightning on Mobile functionality on that DE org. And for those of you that want to use it on sandbox and production orgs, feel free to sign up on this form. Thank you very much.
Thank you.